Hello guys, this is Brahma Engine devlog, and what I'm gonna talk about today is sprite clipping. I mean, have you noticed something different here? Or here? Or maybe here? Well, let's take a look over here at these sprites. They seem to be hanging in the air at some distance over the stove or something. Is this a stove? I suppose. Well, why? But why is this? I think the reason is that we can't simply lower the sprite into the floor because it partly disappears. The part that was drawn to appear closer than the sprite itself. It simply hides in the surface of the floor, and this is how it worked in the original game, and this is why they decided to leave it like that in this raw meat level of Duke Nukem 3D. So what can be done to address this problem, this nasty situations when you have to have your billboard sprites to be seen fully, entirely, but when keeping it in this position, well, what we done before is changing the altitude, I mean the position of the thing itself, but without touching the sprite. But what if we change the offset instead? Well, the offsets can be accessed with Alt plus numpad arrows. So let's nudge the sprite some pixels down, and it doesn't hide in the surface. We can see that it still remains visible, fully visible. And why is that? The Brahma Engine, provides a solution to the problem by providing extra room for the surface for the sprite when it meeting the surface of floor or ceiling. In fact, it's the same room, and it's equal to the difference. I think difference between the offset, vertical offset 0 and our sprite center. I mean, if we use bottom edge align mode, well, we have to move sprites further up, and if we don't want to use the bottom edge align mode, we have to lower the sprites, and the offset is exactly matches the extra space that has to be provided for this sprite. So why is it working so well? I think this is because the sprites that were drawn, designed to be viewed fully, the engine, perhaps every modern engine will treat the sprite like that, because when using Z buffer you don't have much options. You can bias the entire depth of the sprite, but it will lead to other problems. So it's quite troublesome for and different engines handle it different ways. For example, Doom engine, well, it simply remains. It doesn't provide any Z-culling, so the sprites, instead of looking like this, if we could ditch sink it in, make it sink into the floor, it wouldn't appear like that. It would simply be visible like fully. Well, so this is the Brahma Engine. Well, it combines the best of both worlds and provides visible sprites with fully visible sprites with culling, with clipping for both floors and ceilings. If we want to flip sprite upside down and place it into the ceiling, it will still provide this room for their feet. And in the original game it looked like that. We didn't see the feet of enemies. It looked like that unless the sector is sloped. It looked like that. But the Brahma Engine provides the same means for non-sloped and sloped sectors, the same method of clipping. And pig cups will suffer for this problem as well. We disable the two-sided, you can see. And items, before they were turned into voxels, they're suffering from the same problem. If we see the freezer wasn't visible fully, to some extent the chain gun and other weapon sprites were, if we place a weapon like that, that's large. Okay, it's voxelized, so it doesn't have to be clipped, but if we make it vertical appearance, well, it's pretty much how it looked in the original game. Well, it's one-sided now. This is how it should look. Sorry, can't quite get used to these shortcuts. This is the sprite. This is how it would look in the original game. So we don't have to adjust the offsets individually for each sprite, because it would be tedious. Of course, we are not to set up the offsets inside the editor. This is the editor interface that can be used to make some edit operations right from the map edit mode, which is quite convenient. Let's make this sprites. Vertical offsets of 4 pixels, for example. Well, now it looks much better. I think now they're looking, it's not that much. 3.5. You can use half a pixel offsets by half a pixel, because there is 1 bit of precision. This bit of precision allows to nudge the sprites by half a pixel. This, which wasn't supported by build engine, of course. And actually that's a huge deal, because it makes possible caching of voxels and other things into impostor sprites and writing them correctly. So you can see that the sprite doesn't, you can see the feet of Duke, even though this is an impostor sprite, it doesn't is rendered at the constant depth. And offsets are quite universal. I mean, if you place a billboard sprite, let's find a billboard sprite that wasn't voxelized yet. The offsets can be both two-sided on, two-sided off. Make sure the two-sided attribute is enabled, because this is treated as some kind of a backside of a sprite, and this works for billboard sprites only because you make vertical. There's no sense if it would be called the same way this is called for billboard sprites. Default appearance is either billboard sprite or a voxel or anything that is associated with that slot. Well, what I want to show is that if you offset the sprite horizontally, it can be made some unusual effects like this. And you can use this to create various interesting things in your maps. But be careful, because the engine must be sure that the sector, the parent sector, is visible. So here it is. Feel free to check out what has been done for this with this engine to the moment. Check out the official page if you didn't, and see you next time. Okay.